morning, Bill Thompson for Court Watch in Melbourne. It's Wednesday morning. Half an hour ago or so I attended the Courtroom 3 in the Supreme Court complex across the road for the hearing in relation to Codey Herrmann. Several weeks ago I had read that Codey Herrmann had decided to plead guilty to the rape and murder of Aya Masawi on the 16th of January this year. And the hearing today was to advance the matter to the next stage. I entered the court building at about 8:30 to ensure that I could get into the gallery, because often on these high-profile cases that can be an issue. As it happened, I was the only person in the corridor at the time that I entered. I looked at the listing on the sheet outside the court and I couldn't see Codey Herrmann's name. And then realised I was looking at the list from yesterday, which hadn't been updated at that stage. So I walked down the corridor and noticed that there were police prison officers pulling over the accordion barrier that leads down to the entrance where the prison van arrives. So I waited, sat on the chair in the corridor and watched as the prison van backed up the driveway, visible from the corridor door. And I watched as Codey Herrmann was brought up the corridor in handcuffs and taken upstairs to a holding facility upstairs before I went to Court 3. Surprisingly, on this occasion, the public gallery on the ground floor was open. So I entered the court, and at approximately 9:20, Codey Herrmann was brought in and seated in the glass enclosure at one end of the courtroom. The old wood-panelled, fairly classic-looking Courtroom 3. The proceedings commenced at 9:30. There was some brief legal discussion between those at the bar table and the judge before the clerk of the court proceeded to read the charges, being one of rape and one of murder. She then went into detail with Codey Herrmann standing in the accused box. She referred to the first charge, that on the 16th of January 2019, Codey Herrmann raped Aya Masawi. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty? Now, the acoustics in Courtroom 3 are not particularly amenable to hearing every word that is said, but I was astonished to hear what I thought was Codey Herrmann's reply of not guilty. I wasn't sure I'd heard that because there was no apparent consternation within the court among amongst the small number of journos who were sitting in the gallery near me. But fairly shortly, the gentleman sought leave to speak with his client, which was granted, and he moved to the back of the court, entered the accused box, and had a brief conversation with Codey, which I could see them chatting, speaking, but couldn't hear a single word that was spoken. After a couple of minutes, the counsel returned to the bar table, spoke briefly, at which point the clerk of the court again read the first charge. Codey Herrmann, did you rape Aya Masawi on the 16th of January 2019? Are you guilty or not guilty? To which Codey Herrmann responded, guilty. The clerk of the court then asked about the second charge, that on the 16th of January 2019, Codey Herrmann murdered Aya Masawi. Guilty or not guilty? To which Codey Herrmann responded, guilty. There was then some further brief legal discussion. Busy morning this morning. The ambulance is just pulling up in front of the county court. There was then brief discussion before the judge ruled that the next hearing in the matter would occur on the 1st of October and that Codey Herrmann would be remanded in custody. One further comment that I would like to make in regard to the coverage of these proceedings. The other night, while watching the 7 p.m. ABC News, I believe the newsreader on the occasion was Tamara O'Dine, and she gave a report on the victory by Ash Barty at the French Open tennis, during which Tamara O'Dine made specific reference to Ash Barty's victory being the first for a woman of Aboriginal descent since the 1970s. Now, I personally don't see why it is particularly relevant for the media to make specific reference to people's race in circumstances where it's not particularly relevant. But what has intrigued me from the start in relation to the Codey Herrmann matter is that, as far as I'm aware, in none of the ABC reports in relation to the matter have they made any mention of Codey Herrmann's Aboriginal heritage. In my opinion, if the media is going to fixate on the race of people in the sporting environment or the artistic world, or in any respect, if it's a good news story, then I think they really ought to lose the hypocrisy and make sure they reference people's race in circumstances where it's not such a good story. Bill Thompson for Court Watch in Melbourne.